Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Shelby Bernally, and I'm going to be giving you a presentation or training on Community Service Block Grant, also known as CSBG. I'm currently employed with the Department of Family Services in Shiprock, New Mexico. This slideshow presentation is available and saved. Vera has access to it if anybody wants to use this for any kind of community event. But on this first slide, if all you have to do is give a brief introduction and introduce the presenters. You can change the name where it says presented by. I just left it someone special, and you can insert your name and whoever's presenting. This next slide just basically states what CSGB is, and it is the Community Service Block Grant Program, which assists in stabilizing families and preventing their breakup by providing services to alleviate economic and emotional upheavals due to the high unemployment rate on the Navajo Nation. If you're giving this presentation to other people, this would be a good time to explain in detail exactly what CSBG is and how and why this was created and how it benefits the community. Okay, on this next slide, it just says assistance is contingent on availability of funds. I think that's very important to point out that funds aren't always available. It's, when we run out of funds, we're out and we can't assist until we get new funds. One of the criteria that must be met is that the person must seek viable self-improvement alternatives. And in this slide, you can tell the individuals how they can accomplish this, maybe give examples. In this slide, it says CSBG provides limited financial assistance to individuals and families whose income is at or below the national poverty level. And this is just basically explaining who it assists. It doesn't assist employed middle income families. It assists, people that are at or below the national poverty level. As you may know, there are 5 categories for CSBG, and they are training and education, healthcare, employment related, housing related, or basic needs. This is just an overall view of the 5 categories. In the next slides, you can go more into depth and explain those to the people. So this next one says training, education, and healthcare. You would just talk about how this would apply to them, the training and education, or else the healthcare. You could tell situations, stories, scenarios that the audience can relate to. And you would lead into the next slide, which would be employment related and housing related. And also you just want to explain what this exactly means, how this relates to the customer, and how just tell stories, scenarios, give examples. And this leads into the next one, which would be basic needs. And he would also explain how they would receive assistance for basic needs, what the Navajo Nation defines as basic needs, and once again give examples, tell stories, give scenarios so that the audience can relate. And then you want to tell who can apply, and it's important to explain every single one of these listed here in depth and tell them, these are the people that we're assisting, and this is why we assist them, and this is who qualifies. The next slide leads into more who can apply, and once again you just want to go in depth and relate that to the customers. On the 12th slide, it is a checklist. You just basically are it says what next if I qualify. So it tells them what they must bring in, the application process. They have to speak to a caseworker, and You might want to explain the processes of each one of these when they come in to do them. Next slide is what kind of documents do I need to bring in? And so the next couple of slides will just go over the documents. And at this time, you'd want to talk about every specific document and indicate exactly what is an acceptable form of each document, as far as like how recent it is, if it's, you know, how recent it is as far as copies or whatever you can think of. This is more documents continued. And I think it's important to remember that the household, head of household and the household members need to bring in these documents. Next document is all current and updated documents must be presented at intake. Applicants that are married or in a common law marriage must both be present at intake. It is the applicant's responsibility to provide these documents. I think it's very important that you reiterate that it's their responsibility to provide these documents. And the next slide is just basically what happens at intake and the process they should expect. You can also go in depth and explain that. Next one is explains time frames and types of notifications. And this tells them what happens if they're approved. And I think it's important to emphasize that they have to be patient. My understanding and from my observations and experience, this money is not instantly put into their account. For some instances, I've seen people wait several months before they even get any assistance. So it's important to let them know and reiterate that it's a timely process. It takes time. In no way is an immediate emergency relief. And then also it's important to explain our appeals process if they're denied, especially if they feel like they've wrongfully been denied. Just go into detail the different steps that they can do. And lastly, you want to ask them if they have any questions and address all their questions. And that would be it for my training on community service block grants. And this basically is just a tutorial on how to utilize this PowerPoint that I created. Of course, you can tweak it, you can change it, you can add pictures, you can change the words, you can do whatever you want. Thank you.